got a hard out in an hour and a half roughly, so I can go.
Yeah, no, we usually don't go more than an hour. So,
Okay.
what's up, bro? So we got the fuck is your name again? Matt, Muscle
Yes.
Discord. Sorry.
Yeah, people
Uh,
just know me by Muscle Discord for the most
yeah.
part, but yeah.
So, Dorian, do you know Matt? He has a bodybuilding podcast called Muscle Discord.
I've heard of Muscle Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hi, Matt.
he's the
What's up,
host,
brother? What's up,
and
Dorian?
Dorian is a IFBB pro professional bodybuilder, as you can see from his fucking takes up half the screen.
What's the name of the gym in Denver that you trained at, Dorian?
Armbrust. I'm here right now.
Armbrust. Yeah, okay, because that's where I saw you when I was there filming Rich Piana and Johnny Jackson. We are doing
yeah, that was like 10 years ago.
Jesus, what's up, Phil?
So that's where I saw you there. I don't know if you had your pro card back there. You're probably still in NBC.
No.
Yeah, there. So I know you a long time, brother.
Yeah, you look familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks very handsome.
Thank you.
If he had a tie, if he had a tie, you can go to a communion right now, bro. Hard
right,
continent.
Phil, what's up, brother?
Hard continents.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, Phil.
Good.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
Interesting day today. We got lots
Oh,
to talk.
listen, man. Listen, I was real heated. I mean, I was ready to go find out where they live, but I'm a little cool now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Patti reached out to Steve. Steve did give her a call back, which great conversation, very positive. He gave me some feedback. I really respect it for it. They spoke for about 20, 25 minutes. So, yeah, man, these gentlemen, man, that's listen, there's a way you could come across professionally. I've seen him done it before, but to come off that way is it was highly disrespectful, very, very highly disrespectful. I couldn't even finish listening to it because, you know, I have a very angry side if I feel I'm being disrespected. And I tried when I made the videos. It's crazy because I made one with Ron, said the same exact thing on Ron's podcast. I don't see him calling out Ron. You know what I'm saying? So it's a respect value. It's freedom of speech. We should be able to speak what's on our mind. Nobody's saying no one should have won a show or going into that type of detail. But the way, you know, I don't even respect Shawn, so I'm not even going to acknowledge him because what he said about Shawn Rhoden when he passed and several other people, I don't care for Shawn Ray at all. I don't. But Bob, on the other hand, that was very shocking. That was very shocking, and I was trying to absorb it and understand. But to come off like that it's very disrespectful. But
hey,
when
Phil,
Patti gets in,
I saw you posted something on your story about this, but I don't know what's going on. Why don't you explain for me and for everybody else?
Oh, you didn't see the video? Oh, you gotta see the video.
Yeah, let's explain. Let's give some context here.
All right, since I'm the host, I'll chime in. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So what happened was, Phil went on Matt's podcast, Muscle Discord, and I guess what's his name? What is his name? Bob Cicherillo. So Bob Cicherillo has his own podcast, Voice of Bodybuilding or something like that. Yeah. And he basically, him and Shawn Ray basically talked about Phil going on Matt's podcast, talking about what we've talked about like several times already about Phil's experience in his last two contests, you know. And they were basically they were very direct and abrupt. And they kind of threw some shots at Muscle Discord without saying Muscle Discord. He basically was just was very direct with what Phil had to say, and Shawn Ray was very direct and very abrupt. They were just basically like, you know, dude, you know, it's sour grapes, and you know, you got last because you know that's the way the judges saw it. And nobody's trying to out you, and blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. So now we are here with Patti and Phil. But before we get started, we have to acknowledge
I'd like to acknowledge the small podcast thing first because
hold on.
I got a small podcast and everyone seems to fucking watch the show. So
I'm mad at Bob too. This is what I'm mad at Bob about. Okay, but first a word from our sponsor. I don't fucking have one. Okay, so everyone needs to click and subscribe Okay. And I don't know. I'm mad at Bob because I don't know how he has 14 sponsors and his he only has like 4,000 subscribers. He went on for the first minute and a half of all his sponsors. He must have like what, 5 or 6. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Fucking Bob.
Yeah. Yeah, so full disclaimer, Bob is on Team Mutant. I'm with Mutant. Sean Ray's with Mutant. So we're all with Mutant.
Well, how do
So
I
I
get
mean,
on Mutant for fuck's sake?
yeah, well, I mean, so I've been part of that team for a long time, and we're all on the same team. But I'm trying to stay neutral as I can here. I'll have my say about what Sean said and about what Bob said once we get into it. But I just want to put that out there that we are all
right. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give Phil, Patti, and Matt the open floor. I want Dorian.
Let Patti go first.
I want Dorian to chime in. I basically, it's you guys have the floor. Okay, you guys have the mic. You can say whatever you want. This is your platform today. So Patti, go right ahead. And Dorian, I want you to chime in and ask questions too. So it should be pretty fun. All right, Patti, go right ahead.
Hey, John, thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Patti.
I've never met you, but I always hear you talking to Phil in the other room when you're doing your interviews.
Yes.
I was Phil was sent that on DM today from Instagram, that video, so I went and watched it. And honestly, I was really taken aback, not only by the kind of critical things they were saying about Matt, but also their tone, their laughing, mocking, rolling eyes. Like, it was very unprofessional, in my opinion, anyway, on their part in doing that video. The way they did it. And the next thing is, there's a lot of inaccurate stuff they said in there. Bob kept calling him a Masters competitor. Phil has never competed in the Masters ever, except the Masters Olympia last year. He did not get his pro card as a master. He got his pro card as an open pro, and he won the overall. And he has competed in every show as an open competitor. So let's get that straight. The next thing is, Phil was saying, and he was hurt because we tried to get feedback and couldn't get it. And it wasn't just at the show, it was after the show. Phil wrote a very professional email to the IFBB and asked them after Chicago, could he get feedback? Could he get the emails of the judges? Because we didn't even know who all the judges were. Of course, we know Steve and a couple of the other ones, but we didn't know the whole list. So we said, in the email, could he get the judges' contact emails so he could ask them for feedback before Tampa? Well, that I think is really legitimate request, and he was denied their emails. So that made no sense. And that obviously put a bitter taste in his mouth. And he felt, disrespected as a pro and an Olympian. He was just in the Olympia last year. And I think that is disrespectful. So moving on, what happened in Tampa was even worse than what happened in Chicago to him as far as his placing. And after what happened to Chicago, he really just felt overall like he didn't get a good look. And Phil never asked anyone for feedback at all, just to clarify that, because Mr. Fake athletes rep, he's not an athletes rep. He's never done anything for the athletes. Bob Cicherillo, whatever the hell his last name is. And if he's really an athlete's rep, is this how you would handle an athlete? You would go on your podcast, which he never mentioned them. I don't even know what it was to them to even do a response.
That's a very good point. That's a really good point. If he was an athlete's rep, he should have called him directly.
Correct. And I actually said that in the comment underneath his pathetic video, and he never responded to that. He responded to other things, but not that direct question. I said, if you're an athlete's rep, why didn't you reach out to Phil and ask him what the problems were, how you could help rectify it? And I said, how are you doing this video showing that you're an athlete's rep? How is this helping Phil by mocking him and belittling him in his career? And he had no answer to it, because he doesn't, because he's a coward. Because I could guarantee you this, he would never say these things to Phil's face. And another thing is, he said on his video, hey, I'll be happy to have Phil on. And I said that in the comment. You said you'd be happy to have Phil on to address it. Well, have him on. And Phil posted that, but Bob never answered him. He posted it in his DM, I mean, in his Instagram post story, and Bob never answered him. So, put your money where your mouth is, Bob, to have the video with Phil on. And the thing, like I said, is what did they do that video for today? Who told them to do that video? What is it to them what Phil was saying about the judging and everything else? Like, they're claiming they don't work for the IFBB, they're nothing to do with the what are they responding to it like that? I don't understand. He didn't even talk about them. So, I mean, long story short, I talked to Steve today. I talked to him on the phone. And this had nothing to do with the video because I didn't even know those clowns put the video out. But I talked to Steve separately I wanted to ask him what he thought. First, I want to talk to him about the show because Steve and I have always had a very personable and amicable, friendship, I would call it. Talking to him at shows and whatnot. And, I was a little bit taken aback, and him and I laughed about it today because we're both from New York. So we're kind of a little direct and a little abrupt sometimes. And, we talked about what happened at Chicago, and I said he snapped at me. He said he didn't. So we laughed about it. And and we laughed about it. And I said, all right. I took it a little bit offensive, Steve. That's how I talk to him because, we have that rapport. So we talked it out, and he said he wished Phil would have called him after Chicago. And I kind of wish he would have too. But I understand where Phil was coming from. And I think Phil was more offended that I got snapped at, in my opinion, than anything else. So that's kind of why he didn't reach out, but I'll let him answer that. But anyway, Steve told me, I said, Steve, look, do you think he should do the Masters? He goes, honestly, Patti, he's competitive as an open pro. He could still be an open pro. He's a good pro. And, he said if he came in better condition, he could even won the whole show. So these clowns, Bob and Shawn, who absolutely everyone does not care for in the IFBB, well known, he's over there saying that, oh, he's washed up, he should be in the Masters, he shouldn't be in the Open. Well, apparently the head judge, Steve, just told me today that he's a competitive open pro, and he said to me he's a good bodybuilder. He said, I just didn't see it that day. And I said, fair enough, Steve. And I told him, I said, look, listen, man, this is exactly how I said it to him. I said, listen, man, you put some guys ahead of him that didn't deserve it. And he said, show me the pictures. I said, I'm going to do that. I said, I'm going to take the pictures of Phil from the same show against people you put ahead of him that didn't deserve it. And we're gonna talk about that. He said, absolutely. He said, Patti, I'll call you anytime. You know that. So Steve's straight up in my book, and I have mad respect.
Yeah.
Luke, are you scared right now? Patti actually has me scared right now. Like I'm scared. I don't even want to. She's got me.
Hey, what's up, Luke?
Hey, Patti.
Luke,
Yo, what's up, Phil?
Luke just dove headfirst into the deep end. He had no idea what the hell he's being baptized by fire right now. He has no clue what's going on. Luke, we got Matt from Muscle Discord here. We got fucking drama, bro. And I think we're gonna have like a cage match. Everybody against like Shawn Ray and Bob Cicherillo. We're just gonna.
Oh wow, Shawn Ray said something. Wow.
Yeah, he said.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing they did say that was absolutely true was they said that Phil could kick both their asses, and they meant on a bodybuilding stage, and that's true.
Yeah.
Because they didn't keep themselves. It's quite the same as Phil has at 50 years old.
So I think we should probably address and get Phil's take on this. When you said on my show that you felt like you were being pushed out, and Bob addressed that, and he said that on his show that you said that you felt pushed out. Is that the case? Do you think Tyler Mannion had something out for you, and he didn't want you? Because Tyler's going to watch this, the Mannions are going to watch this, and they watched my show. I already heard about that and saw what you said. And so I just want to know, truthfully, Phil, why do you feel pushed out? Is it because you went from first last year in a pro show to last place? Or is there something that someone said something to you or give you an inclination as to like, they're trying to get rid of me, they're trying to get rid of me, this is right? And then Bob is saying, well, why would I be push Phil out? What do they have to gain for that? Don't they want athletes to compete and be there at the show? So that's kind of, I want you to put your context out there as to why you felt that way.
Well, first of all, Bob don't even know what he's talking about when he's making that statement. Listen, any professional sport outside of bodybuilding, any professional sport. Listen, if their head once you're gone, they will find reasons for you to be gone, and they don't have to explain it. They do it in NFL, they do it in MMA, they do it every professional sport. It can be done. So for him to sit there and say what could be the reason, it could be a lot of different reasons. It just depends on that individual at that time, what they believe uh, or how they perceive me, you know. So yeah, at that time, absolutely, I felt that. At that time, I truly did. Coming from Chicago and then coming to Tampa, once again, I did state it. I wasn't as crisp as I was in Chicago. I made that clear. But I definitely firmly and still going to stand by it. Don't believe I deserve to be in the third callouts. I'm not saying I was supposed to win no show. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is I didn't believe I got the fair look. But listening to Steve today talking to Patti, you know what I mean? Now it gives me a little bit better understanding. If this was told to me right after the show, I would have felt much better. Right. He was just basically saying Phil was not Phil. He was off compared to, you know, it's like, it's crazy. They're analyzing everything about me from 2021. I know what they're doing. And if that type of physique at a size, they don't see that. Now, they do say we don't judge you from your best show. I firmly believe they do. When you come in fantastic, they're looking for you to either improve on that or be just as good as that, right? So I could claim to say, listen, side-wise, I put on the muscle I needed to. If I would have came in the same condition as 2021 at that size, I would have placed very well. I was really a smaller bodybuilder. I was like 243 pounds, you know what I mean? So I put on more muscle to stay competitive. So at that time, yes, I truly felt I was being pushed out just by how the dynamics was going. But after today, you know, Steve taking his time to call Patti today and speak to her, now I have a better understanding. And I feel a little bit better about the situation now.
Well, I can understand how you felt that way, Phil. I'm not saying that that's the case. I understand how you could feel that. Because first of all, your last year's Orlando pro champ, right? And so normally a guy, you know, the respect comes is when they give you a second or third look because you're last year's, you know, you are a champion bodybuilder. You are a name. Everybody knew you were going to do this. Everybody knew you were going to do the show. I mean, Nick Strength and Power talked about you doing the show. It's not like you were a no name coming from another country and you could slip through the cracks. At this point, everybody know who Phil Clahar is. So it was more like, let's give this guy a second look. He is last year's champion. Let's give him at least that much respect. Doesn't mean you had to crack the top 6, top 8, whatever the case may be. Yeah. But just to kind of stick you all the way to the side and make you dead last is kind of was kind of like, I could see how you could take it disrespectfully. Yeah. And another thing, you got to talk about them. They cut your music short too.
Yeah. Can I say something? Because I mentioned that to Steve.
Yeah.
Because exactly what you said. I go, Steve, look, Bill did not think he won the show. He wasn't even looking to be in first call out. What he was upset about was, you know, Phil, and you know that when you get him posing, he gets harder and he gets better. And he just wanted you to give him that chance to at least try to battle in that, you know, top 10 to get that. And if he wasn't, then, you know, pass him by. But he didn't get that chance, and that's what bothered him. And he said, well, we look at when they come out. I said, but that's another thing. Shannon cut him off halfway through. He had like 30 seconds instead of the minute to do his individual. So I said, what are you really looking at?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he didn't even get to do his individual fully. So I said, look, Steve, we're beating a dead horse. And he started laughing. He goes, yeah, we are. I said, but I'm just telling you where we were coming from. And that's why he said, I wish Phil would have called me. And you know, again, he was upset, so he didn't. But in the future, you know, I mean, well, there's no future. But anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I can understand. Like, look, Steve is an extremely busy guy. He's got shows going on every week. He's got amateur shows going on. He's got his gym. He's got God knows what else he's got going on. So, yeah, to have reached out to him probably would have been a better choice. But you know, whatever, shit happens. I mean, you know, you could also. People could, you know, it's just, I can't stress it enough that, you know, I've never seen a champion just be from the first year, and I understand it's two different shows. I get it, but I'm just saying, guy wins a show last year and then goes on the Olympia stage, and then all of a sudden he's dead last. Kind of give him at least give him a second look, or speak
Yeah,
to him.
Well, they
yeah.
didn't even think that Phil looked that he Hassan was off. That's why he won. Is what they were digging.
Yeah,
Phil,
that
right?
was-
And then
yeah.
that's like disrespect towards Hassan as well. It's like, you know, what I mean, Hassan wasn't that off because technically he was winning prejudging, so he wasn't that off. And that's the insulting part. They love to disrespect other athletes because they even said, okay, you know, we made a statement that was other athletes out in the crowd watching this show, making their own personal statement that I should be in the top 6. And he's trashing them. Oh, they will never tell you to your face. Dude, come on, we're grown-ass men. Athletes, I had a lot of people that's been blunt and honest with me in the past, but they're disrespecting everybody, and I don't like the disrespect when they say about Hassan, he was soft. Listen, he may have been off by the night show, but prejudging, he was winning because I was told that. He was winning by 1 point. When I came back, I tied it up, and of course, they had to do a tiebreaker to call me the winner. But for them to disrespect Hassan, to prove, and then they say they gave it to me. And last year on Olympia TV, Flex Wheeler, okay, all of them was on there. And I even said it. I said, you know, when I came back, I wasn't 100% positive because I didn't think they were going to give it to me. And Flex said, hold up. They didn't give you anything. You won that. That is on you. Bobby didn't say one damn word when that was being said. But today he wants to say, basically, it was given to me, that they build my character. I'm like, whoa, no bodybuilding or no one builds my character besides myself. So
no. What's his face? Shawn Ray said that bodybuilding gave you your identity. He's out of his damn mind. Maybe it gave him his identity. Your identity is in Christ, for starters. And you have an identity as an incredible human being to the community, to your family. Like, your bodybuilding didn't give you any identity. You don't need bodybuilding.
I can vouch for that. Bo, what's up, everybody? We're on fire right now, Bo.
Who the hell's Bo?
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Come on, Bo, where are you? Show your face.
Yeah,
no, I think
he is. He's there.
Oh, this is too many.
Yeah, exactly. You got to. Now, Matt, I want you to talk about it a little bit because he didn't say your podcast. He didn't mention your name. He just mentioned the Canadian podcast. Yeah, the Canadian podcast. First of all, he's a little late to the. I mean, Phil was on
2 weeks ago.
Phil was on my podcast, and then he was on Harris's podcast. But whatever. He probably doesn't keep his finger on the pulse like we do as far as the podcast go. But I want you to address how he addressed you and said that if you think he belongs in the top 6, then you don't know anything about bodybuilding.
Okay. So I want to address that. So I on the interview with Phil, I said, I just don't understand why they didn't compare you and just give you a look in that top 6. I didn't say, Phil, you should have been in that top 6. You should have been placed in the top 6. I didn't say that. Bob misquoted me and is putting out the wrong information about what I said. So Bob, if you're watching, make sure to get your facts right when you quote me, because that's not correct. Okay. I thought Phil should have got a look. He placed first in a pro show last year. You know, when you win a pro show the year before, your first, second, when you go to another show, people are watching you. They got their eye on you, right? You're not some no name who's just coming in this show and you'll just put you into a second, third call out. No, this is Phil Clahar. Okay, he's an accomplished bodybuilder, and he was hyped going into this show. Okay, and then they said, "Wow, Matt, you weren't at the show. How can you critique his physique and make the call that he should have been in the top 6 or at least gotten a look in the top 6?" Well, they weren't at the show either. So how are they able to determine that he didn't look good?
Thank you.
Let's flip it on him.
I said the same thing in the comment. They didn't respond to it. I said, you all weren't there.
You can make the assessment that he doesn't look good. He looks like a master's bodybuilder by looking at the photos in the video that I saw, the same ones, yet I'm the one in the wrong by making the wrong assessment, but they're in the right. So again, I got nothing against Bob or Shawn. Shawn's been on my show, right? It's fine. I don't care. He's very blunt. I'm very blunt. But I just want to make sure that they see the other side of the coin versus just kind of going with their narrative about what they saw. And so that's accurate. But then what I saw isn't accurate, right? I just felt like Phil, this is his last year. He's retiring. Everyone knows that, right? He wants to go out, give him a look. That's what they do. Even when like they had Kevin LeBron come out, they just give him a look. Let's just put him up next to the next guy. We know he's not going to win. We know he's not going to be in the top 6 at the Olympia, but let's just give him a look.
Right. They gave him that much. They gave him that much respect. Yeah.
That's all I was alluding to.
Right.
I saw what I saw in the prejudgings with Phil, the way he looked improved to me from last year. First off, he looked bigger. The lats looked more flared out. We looked the comparisons I showed Phil showed me. He looked tighter. So I'm like, okay, he made improvements. He did the work, but I don't know. That's kind of my breakdown of what I saw with Bob and Shawn. And I just think they don't need to be as blunt and make the kind of the digs and stuff at him. And you know, yes, Phil, okay, maybe you were obviously upset when you were on my show. And as an interviewer interviewing a guest, I'm going to ask you questions, and then you're going to say what you want to say. I can't dictate what you say. Those aren't my words. Those are your words, what you to say about Tyler Mannion or whoever or whatever, and what you feel. I can't do anything about that. And I think maybe they're a little bit upset that I gave you the platform to speak your mind and say things about Tyler Mannion or make assumptions about Tyler. And again, that's speculation, right? I have nothing against Tyler Mannion. I have nothing against the Mannions or anything about the Pro League. I just let people come on my show and speak their mind. It's uncensored. That's what I put in the thumbnail. It's uncensored. And, you know, you speak what you want to speak. Now, maybe you were a little bit kind of in your emotions from it because it was recent and you're still kind of, you know, it's fresh on your mind. But
no, that wasn't the case because like I said the same exact thing and mentioned Tyler's name on Ron's podcast.
Yeah.
I just don't know why they came at you, but didn't go.
It seems to be that happens
because I guarantee you that's the only one they saw. They didn't see Ron's. They didn't see mine.
So they're watching me and they're seeing
and just to let you know, he's going to be on another podcast next week.
This week,
right, this week. Sorry, and it probably won't be out till next week. Talking about.
Can I ask Matt something?
Yeah.
I'm curious about Matt.
Yeah.
So because you know Shawn.
Yes.
Right. Why do you think they even did the video? What was their skin in the game?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's one. Yeah, like exactly. Maybe they get the views. Maybe they could just get something going, right? But I don't think it's worth getting the views by digging at a guy that just retired, right? That gave his all to the sport and promoted the sport well when he was in it, doing it, and wanted to probably continue on and do the Masters and represent the Masters division and do that show. But now hearing this from Bob and from other, you know, from Shawn, I don't know if Phil would want to continue to go forward because it's just like they were digging.
Well, honestly, their opinion means nothing to him.
Yeah.
So I think if he's going to make that decision, I mean, he can speak on it, but I know him and I have talked about it.
Yeah.
What Steve says means
matters.
There's no comparison. What Steve says versus them, you know, it's like kindergartners trying to talk about a PhD. So we're gonna go with what Steve says, and you know, Phil will decide what he wants to do moving forward as far as the Masters show and stuff. But yeah, I just was really taken aback because Bob is got to be one of the phoniest dudes in the world, because every time we've ever seen him, he's always been super nice and, you know, whatever. But the way he talked, even some guy underneath the video said, wow, like, you call yourself his friend? He's not Phil's friend. I mean, if you got friends like that, who needs enemies? And, you know, this guy underneath said, why would you talk about him like that? You call yourself his friend, but you're talking about him like that? Like, for what? Does that make you feel good, Bob? Like, you're that insecure? You got to talk about a 50-year-old dude? Like, grow up.
Hey, man, stop saying a 50-year-old dude. This 50-year-old dude could knock the brakes off of both of their asses.
Oh, I know that. You know, I'm just saying.
Here's the thing, guys. Shawn Ray is very blunt. He runs his mouth too much. Chad Nichols' son almost took his ass out 2 years ago at the Olympia. It was recorded.
Yeah,
and he had nothing to say at all when he's confronted to his face. That's what I call a coward. So anybody that sits behind a camera with a mic that would never, ever say anything to my face, this is the problem. I'm a very nasty freaking dude. I come from a very dangerous and nasty background. The only thing is now I'm older and a little bit more smart. Because I will find any show anyone's at. but don't disrespect me at that level. I've seen Bob do videos where he speaks on a respectful, appropriate manner. But this was personal. But why? I did nothing to either one of them. Now, I may have been doing better at the age of 50 that they could never do. Probably that is it. I don't know. But I was trying to understand all day. The Bob that want to talk and laugh in my face, and all of a sudden, now you get on this camera and you know the type of person I am. I'm a family man. You know what I'm saying? I love everyone. Never, ever disrespected any bodybuilder. They trash so many bodybuilders on here, and I defend them. Defend all of them. So for him to come out his face, it's just two cowards using their platform to try to get a break. Okay? But at the end of the day, it did not affect me at first because I'm a man and I'm loaded with testosterone. I got angry. You know what I mean? And I wanted to go after them. You know what I'm saying? But the more I sit down and after she spoke to Steve, it just calmed me down. Because now everything that brought us to this spot here with how I felt and the disrespect I felt, Steve settled it today. I'm not going to explain every single thing, but he settled it today. And now I'm at peace with everything that transpired.
No,
Yeah.
Matt, they did say something else I want you to address. And they talked about something to the effect of amateur journalists, that these guys don't know what they're looking at, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously speaking about you, because it's a Canadian podcast, so on and so forth.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I've gotten a lot of respect from, I was on the Menace podcast with Dennis James and Milos and Chris Cormier, and they gave me a lot of props and respect. And Chris Cormier said, Muscle Discord is a great podcast. Like, so I'm getting kudos from other people. And then, you know what, Sean Ray or Bob Cicherillo can say, what they want about my podcast. But I've had Sean Ray on my show, right? I've had Lee Priest on my show. I've had Steve Weinberger on my show, right? So there's some respect there, I think. And, I'm a champion in bodybuilding in Canada here. I've won two titles, Mr. Canada titles in my belt. Didn't get to turn pro, unfortunately, but I have experience in this industry as well. So to say I'm just kind of this rookie, podcaster that doesn't know what I'm talking about, I don't know. I don't know if that's just a weak line that Bob has to say because he had nothing else to really say about me, right? I don't know. It's just his platform, his channel, right? He gets to say what he wants to say, right? And he's free to say whatever he wants to say. I have my platform. You have your platform, John, and you can say whatever you want to say, right? Are we, registered like journalists that went to school for journalism? No, we're not.
And none of the bodybuilding podcasters are.
No. So at the end of the day, I don't really care, right? I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I love what I do. I love being able to cover all the shows and talk to the pros and to everyone in the industry and give my take on it and the experience that I've had, not just on stage, but behind the scenes, working for Mutant for 10 years, working with some of the top bodybuilders in the world, working with Rich Buchanan, as I told you before, John. I got a lot of experience, so I got an eye for it as well. So it is what it is.
Let's get some opinions from the neutral guys.
Yeah, what about the actual
Bo, Dorian, Luke? Well, what do you think about this whole mess? Bo, do you even know what's going on?
Nah, I don't even know. I've been working, man. So I ain't had time to see what
Bob Cicherillo and Sean Ray they were both on Bob's podcast. I believe it's called The Voice of Bodybuilding, and they were talking about Phil's interview with Matt on Muscle Discord. And just actually to be completely clear, Matt was scheduled to come on with us before this even happened. So he was going to come on and just talk, bodybuilding. And
that's right. We talked about it on my show.
So on and so forth. So it just happened to worked out perfectly. And they were very blunt and a little bit disrespectful toward Phil about what Phil had said in the interview. And we had addressed that. Phil, this is like his third podcast that he went on and talked about it. Mine, Ron Harris, and now Matt. So they're a little behind. They probably don't have their finger on the pulse like I do with the podcasting. But I just want you heard what Matt, Phil, and Patti have to say. So I want to see what the other three guys have to say because you guys have like neutral opinions. Anybody?
Well, Dorian was at the show, and Dorian already said something about it in the other podcast.
I didn't even realize he was at the show.
Dorian, he was in the show.
Yeah, he was in the show.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I mean, what did you think when you saw Phil?
Well, I didn't think Phil was off in any ways. I've been competing against Phil for many years. He's a great champion, and he never shows up out of shape. But I was called out in the second call out, and I'm looking back, and Phil's standing there, and he hasn't been called out yet. And I just kind of gasped. I couldn't believe it. But there's a lot to be said. When it comes to placing, what I've seen in trends of how the judges do their judging and placements with professional bodybuilders. I've been a pro for 8 years now, and it seems like when I first got in the league, there's some nature of seniority that took place. It seems like there's guys that have been competing longer than me who came in with the same physique. The guys who have been in the league longer seem to get the favorable placements. But now it seems like it's almost flip-flop. It seems like these guys who have been in the league for a while, and what I think really changed things is just kind of like the nature of social media. And I know Phil's not big on that game.
That's a really good point.
Out there doing some of this stuff that these younger guys with popularity are doing.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and I think
and Tyler might know that, being that he's a young man.
A bit more, I don't know. It seems they kind of have a chip on their shoulder, especially if they have a social media following. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, bodybuilding is a business, and they want to sell as many of the live casts as they possibly can. You got some guy that doesn't have any social media platform at all, and you can't see what their fan base looks like, versus some guy like Reagan Grimes, who has millions of followers. They're always going to favor this guy who's going to bring the league more money.
Excellent point. I didn't even think of that. Excellent point. Excellent point.
He's on point.
And the fact that Tyler is a young man and knows this and probably has his finger on the pulse with social media. Because how old is Tyler? Is he even 30 yet?
He just turned 30.
Yeah, so he's a very young man, and he probably realizes this. I'm not saying that that's accurate, but that would be my guess. Okay, let's hear from Luke or Bo. See what you guys think.
Well, wait a minute. Luke's competing soon. Don't put him on the spot.
Sorry, Luke. Don't say a goddamn thing.
I mean, look at speak. He don't have to. I mean, listen.
I'm messing around. I'm saying they're going to mess with. They're going to mess with.
Yeah, look. You just speak your mind, bro.
It's to the way that it looks to me from the outside looking in, because I haven't been judged by any of these judges yet. The way that it's looking to me is it's looking like the politics that we're facing now with our presidency. That's exactly what it's looking like. That's exactly what it's looking like. It's like you're like, from what I'm seeing, it's like that you guys are blatantly doing this stuff in front of people without explanation, and everybody's supposed to take it. Like I don't understand. Like, people deserve an explanation. Like, what's going on? Why are you choosing the people that you're choosing to come out on stage? Why are you choosing the first call out? And why are you leaving people back there that look better than some of the people in the first call out? I don't understand. And then when you do ask for an explanation, they don't want to answer it. And then someone comes out and starts talking about it that has no business talking about it. So to me, it's not right what's going on. From the day one, I've always tried to ignore it and said, I'm just going to work my ass off. I love the sport. But from day one, when I started bodybuilding, everyone said it. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of politics. That's all I hear. Yeah. That's all I hear. There's a lot of politics. And, I'm starting to see it more and more, so, it happened to me already in the NPC. It happened to me. If I show what happened to me, people are going to be like, what the fuck? But, it happened. So
I think it's worse in the NPC, actually. It's fucking unbelievable. So, I've been to NPC shows, and I'm like, what are these people looking at? Jesus Christ.
Well, look, Phil spoke up and said something, right? And look at the way he's being treated now with this video coming back from the voice of bodybuilding, the fake athletes rep. I really want to know how he keeps claiming he's an athletes rep, and he does absolutely nothing with or for the athletes. There's never been a meeting. There's not even a newsletter sent out. No, I'm being dead serious.
I know, you're right.
Like, what has he done that he gets to claim that he's the athletes rep? He doesn't speak to these dudes. Is there an annual meeting or biannual? What happened?
Does he still call himself? Does he still to this day?
Hold on, Matt. What'd you say?
an athlete's rep is supposed to be in the favor of the athletes. Actually, the IFBB should supposed to hate the athlete's rep.
Ah, good point. That's like,
they're supposed to hate the athlete's rep's gut, because the athlete's rep is supposed to represent all of the athletes.
Yeah, it's like having a union rep. Yeah.
You know why?
There you go.
You know why? Because at the end of the day, those are the people that are making the IFBB and the NPC money, the athletes. So the athlete's rep is the one that's supposed to look out for the best interest of the athlete.
100%.
Go off, Luke. Go ahead, man.
All right, Bo.
Bo, I want to hear you talk, Bo, because you got a lot of wisdom.
Let's go, Bo.
Yeah, I know. I done been through it. You know what I'm saying? With I had my free shares of things when my first pro show, really, Puerto Rico, when I did it, and I was standing next to Eduardo. Now,
Eduardo Carrera, yeah.
Everybody know I beat Eduardo because I didn't have that social media or that name. Then nobody know me. This is my first pro show. I didn't win.
Yeah.
I got did like that in the NPC. I won all NPC shows that I got into, even the Universe, Junior Nationals, but I lost Mr. Tennessee State. And to me, it's because of I seen some backstage to somebody went back there and spoke to the guy, shook his hand, man, it's good to see you. And that was the only one they spoke to like that, you know what I'm saying? And the guy ended up winning. Come on now.
Yeah.
I done seen certain things, then I'm like, okay, cool, you know what I'm saying? It happened to me. Imagine who else it done happened to. Phil, Dorian, you know what I'm saying, whoever else. But at the end of the day, man, we grown men.
Yeah.
What somebody else say about us or opinion about us or whatever, you know what I'm saying, really, it don't make or break us because we still gonna live our life outside of bodybuilding. You know what I'm saying? If you're depending on bodybuilding, that's a different thing.
Right.
But if you ain't depending on bodybuilding to make no money, you know what I'm saying? To me, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, very few people depend on bodybuilding to make money.
Yeah. I don't depend on it. I spend more money, you know what I'm saying, going to bodybuilding and supplements and stuff like that. Like I could have bought maybe 2 houses.
Yeah.
Trust me, man. I know from the food and the supplements and everything. I could have bought 2 houses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about this one plus 2 more.
Is it true?
With the money I done spent. Like, so I don't do of course I want to make money.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for the love of me, you know what I'm saying? I still want to make money, but when you taking it like, okay, when you taking that change out of my pocket still, it kind of give me a nasty taste to it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Bo understands. I remember when I did the Boston Pro, and I said this before in a podcast, like the Flex Wheeler is going to give you stuff straight up. And, you know, he sat down with me and he was just asking me about my health and some other things. And he said, let me ask you a question. I said, yes, sir. He said, what do you think a professional athlete is? What do they do? I said, they play for the love of the sport and they make money. He said, say it again. They play for a professional sport and they make money. He said, let me give you something, son. Let me tell you something. If you're competing in a sport that's not giving anything back to you, it's time to think about walking away. That was powerful.
Yeah.
That he said to me. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you got to think about Bo hit it right on the head. Like I spent same way. I'm in debt because of bodybuilding. You know what I mean? That's why that really burnt me so bad. It just burnt me because I worked my way up through the rankings. And once I did it, I thought that I earned now my spot up there with the big names. I did. I battled with some of the top Olympians. You know what I mean? Steve Kukos, Ian, freaking, I mean, it goes on. It was a lot of great competitors in Tampa when I was going against Ian. You know what I'm saying? So
Charles Griffin, Mo, Siobhan.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Charles.
It hit me so hard because it's like, I earned my right to be here. And then coming from the year prior, I never saw athlete come off a successful year and never got the first look in any show. I've never saw it till it
That's
happened.
what I was going to say that. Has anyone ever seen an IFBB pro win a pro show the year prior and then go to the next year's show and come in last place?
Oh, Matt, I want to actually ask you one question. Shawn Ray said one thing that kind of like, you know, I want you to see if you can clear it up for me. When he asked Bob, what place did Phil come in? And Bob said he came in last. And Shawn said, does he know that there's only money for the top 3 or top 5 guys? If you come in 7th or 8th, you're still going home with nothing. What do you think about that statement?
Well, it's true. It's true for the most part, but it's at the end of the day, it's still, you want to be placed where you think you should be placed at the end of the day, or where you deserve to be placed.
Right.
Right. That's it. Right. And so regardless of the prize money. So I just think Phil should have been in that top 10, maybe even higher. Like it's just give him a look. That's all it is. Give him a look. Right.
Yeah,
He's retiring, man. To be last place. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And then Ken Doran was there. He's on the stage with him. There's people that were at the audience that said otherwise as well. So it's just like,
yeah, and those people in the audience were some of them are open pros in the Olympia this year, and other people that were watching the live stream were writing to him privately too. Like Phil didn't come and say to people like, "Oh, what do you think? How did I do?" People were flooding him, just like they did in 2021, and I got every DM screenshotted. Okay. Of all the top pros, some of them legends, that were writing to him privately and saying, you beat Ian twice in 2021. In fact, one of them said, whatever Ian gets in the Olympia this year in 2021, you're a place ahead of him. Did Phil go and cry and say anything? No, he took it on the chin and he kept going. And I can't even tell you how many people, like all over the world, we don't even know them. You won, pros all over. He didn't say anything. He just kept going. He wasn't disrespectful to
the thing
Ian.
that you said, taking on the chin, and to bring him up, God bless his soul. Dorian's coach used to always come up to me, even after the shows me and Dorian did, because there was times early in her career Dorian should have placed better as well. And his coach came up to me and he said, "How do you do this? How do you keep going when they're just chopping you down every single time?" I said, "Listen, man, I got God on my side. I'm very focused, and I'm not going to allow anyone to dictate to me where I belong." So I kept fighting, and I kept fighting, doing four shows. I mean, I think it was like 18 shows total I did within my career, or a little bit over than that. But I never gave up. But it did pay off. It paid off in 2020 when I took my first top 5. Then 2021, it was the battle again for first and second, then went to Texas. So I didn't give up. I continued to fight. So with all that said, by me doing that and other people feeling bad for me when I was getting no looks at all in my early career, and for me to fight, Milo said to me, he said, "You are now an elite pro after 2021. They would never do you dirty again." Lies. It happened.
Yeah, no. All right. Well,
I want to say to Phil, now that you've aired your grievances in a sense of how you feel, and what Shawn Ray and Bob were saying, we're like, "Oh, you're whining, you're complaining, just, you lost, just go out, leave the sport, continue to be a part of it." Now you're going to have this bitter kind of feeling towards the sport because you're kind of complaining that you lost. What's your response to that, Shawn Ray saying that? Basically, it's like calling you a whiner, and
I'm not whining and I'm not bitter. Shawn Ray, the thing with Shawn Ray is he's very immature, so he doesn't really understand what bitter is or what whining is. Because I made it very clear, I did not win a show. I did not say I won. I just firmly believe I deserve to be placed better. I have the right to say that as a professional athlete and as a human being. He has no right to think I'm whining because I didn't say anything that was bitter. I spoke my truth from what I've been seeing coming up through the ranks and what I believe. I have the right to speak what I believe, correct? So, no, I'm not whining. No, I'm not hurtful at all. And honestly, I have nothing against the IFBB. Listen, continue to do what they're doing, continue to have success. Do what they do. There's no ill with me, because if it was an ill will, I would never. I really wanted to validate with Steve. Not that I'm going to do it, but I wanted to validate with Steve because I told Patti, if Steve is honest and say, "Listen, bro, just stick in the Masters, man. Right now, that's really good for you." But for him to say that I'm still a damn good pro and I could stay in the Open, that really showed me that, you know what, I don't have no beef with that. Somebody finally spoke to me, and I only did that because I'm thinking about doing the Masters, and I just want to make sure the air is clear because I know he judges the Masters. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to see if the air is clear if I do make that decision sometime next year. But I'm not bitter. I'm actually, like I said, today I'm at peace. I was able to speak to somebody that's worth speaking to, not those two clowns, and I'm much better now with the situation that it was explained to me. And now I know that I just need to be better, be at my top of my game. Don't go by me saying I'm good enough. I need to be better than good enough. So at the end of the day, I'm good. I'm good now and I'm at peace. I have nothing else to say. When I do this podcast Friday, I got nothing else to say. Ill will, it's done. The horse is killed. It's done.
Well, I got one message for Bob and Shawn Ray. I'd be more afraid of Patti. I would. I hope you don't meet Patti in a dark alley because she will.
Hey, listen, man. I told you I have 5 brothers, 5 sisters, and we were like an Irish mob growing up. So Phil's not the only hardcore gangster. You know what I'm
tell
saying?
Him what Steve told, tell him what Steve told you about you being the wife and being, in bodybuilding. What did he say?
Well, today when I was talking to Steve, he said that you're a great Phil's a great guy. You're a great, lady, and he's lucky to have you in his corner. You guys are a great team, and you're a great wife to him. You always have had his back. And that's honestly why, because people are like, oh, his wife's commenting. Yeah, the hell I am commenting. That's my guy. And if some guy's going to disrespect him, I'm going to comment. Like, I wasn't
that's
kidding.
your husband. Yeah.
That's my husband. And you know what? Let me tell you right now, just like I told you, John, the last time, if Saran stood up, I was going to be over there in the fist of that's for my dude.
Yeah.
Well, we know who run the house then.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Phil gotta be sleep in a couple minutes,
Oh man. Holy shit.
But I'm gonna tell you, I love Steve, and he really was straight up today.
It's amazing how all you gotta do is make a phone call and resolve it. It's resolved so quickly.
Oh, he's about to get an inbox full of pictures too, because he told me to send him the pictures, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, and I bet he's sincere too. You know what I mean? There's nothing fake about Steve. There really isn't.
No, and that's what him and I are from the same area in Long Island. I grew up right next to where he lives, and so I told him, I said, we're the same. We're very blunt. We're straightforward. I don't pull any punches or anything. So
I want to respond to Bob again and too about the being journalists or us podcasters and not knowing what we're talking about. And what Patti said earlier is like, why didn't Bob reach out to Phil and say, hey, you know what, man, I saw your video, man, you got a lot of things to say. I kind of disagree with them. Come on the show. I represent the athletes. Let's talk about this. You can air your grievances with me. Let's hash it out. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it could have been handled a lot better, especially as the athletes rep. If you want to call yourself the athletes rep, it could have been handled a lot better. I'm in a union, and there are union delegates, and some of them are really good and some of them are shit. And the really good ones always talk to you one-on-one if there's an issue, so on and so forth. And they always say, okay, let me hear what happened.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay. And they always get both sides of the story, and so on and so forth. And they don't do it disrespect, and they try to resolve it. But at the same time, they try to make sure that the athlete is being heard. Is being heard. Yeah. And at the same time, they're making sure that the worker is being represented fairly in the workplace. Right. And that's he could have handled it as the athlete should. He could have handled it a lot better. He could have given you a
bit more
call
professionally, I guess.
That's
right?
it. Even a text message. Hey, dude, you give me a call. Whatever. It's just.
Yeah, you can say, I saw you on Ron's podcast. I saw you on John's podcast. You're saying a lot of things, and I think, you know what? I want to talk to you about it.
That's all.
None of that outreach is made.
Yeah. No.
Well, it's curious that I asked him that direct question underneath his video, And that's one of the only questions he didn't address. He answered me back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He never addressed that. Because I said to him, how are you the athlete's rep? And how is this representing Phil by doing this video about him?
Right.
You're supposed to be the athlete's rep. Can anyone tell me what that man has done as the athlete's rep ever?
Yeah. Well, him and Dave Palumbo had kind of the I don't remember what the beef was, but this was going back a few years, and Dave said pretty much the same thing. I remember they sat down and they talked about it on Dave's show. I don't know whether they fully hashed it out or not, but Dave had said the same thing. Again, this has got to be. Wow. Do you remember that, Matt? When was it? How long ago?
I remember that. I think Dave was calling out Bob.
About 2 years ago, I think.
It was, right? Yeah, something like that. I don't remember the whole thing, but Patti, you're not the first person to say that. Put it that way, right?
Well, they need an athlete's rep.
Yeah.
For real.
If you want to be treated like a professional organization, you should have those things in place.
Thank you.
Right? And it can't be just one person. There's too many athletes. There's too many divisions. You got to have certain reps for certain divisions and, coordinate everything together. Running like a professional organization. It is a professional organization, but I think they're missing some components there that could help improve things, improve athlete relations. It could be called that, whatever, and work with the athletes a little closer to make sure everyone is happy with what's going on.
And what about Matt? What about the scoring? What do you think about the scoring? Because like in the Olympia and other professional sports that are judged, their scores are known. So we don't know anyone's scores. They're just lumped in at the end. So we don't know which judge judged what or whatever. So why are those hidden? Why are they hidden?
I don't know why they're hidden. I think they should be transparent and the judges should have a report that's put out. I think judges should even have like a report that puts out a little mini bio of like, Kate, this is why I had you here. That's a lot of work, obviously. So they probably couldn't do that, but at least just make the names transparent of who the judges are so the athletes can have an open direct line to those judges and send them an email and say, hey, I know you're one of the judges at my show. Just like some feedback. Sure, yeah, I saw you front row. Okay, I'm going to give you that feedback to help the athletes so everyone improves.
You know that. Even though it's a lot of work, I know that I train a natural competitor, and she kicks butt every time she does her shows. But what they do is, when you need feedback, every judge emails you their feedback.
Yeah.
Now you have a track record now. So now if this one judge said, okay, this is what I improve on. I had the same judge, and now he's telling me so. You know what I mean? You got something to look back at to say, okay, well, this is not looking right. Listen, things could be more work technically, but it's not. It's not. If you have the open competitors, you have the top 10. I'm not saying you got to do it for every athlete. Top 10, top 15, whatever the case may be. And they want feedback or they email you. We should be able to have every judge's email and they just respond through email. And it's very simple. It takes them not even 5 minutes to do so. So no, it's not going to take time, but it makes us feel comfortable as professional athletes that we're being treated like professional athletes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. If the judges or whomever, promoters, everybody should have their email. It should be, and then if you have any grievances, or if you have any problems, or you have any questions or anything, just give us an email, and it should be your duty to respond, in a timely manner. I don't think it's very difficult, right? And at least it makes the athlete feel like he's being heard and represented.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you're not the first person, Phil, that felt this way, right? I'm sure you're not the first bodybuilder that has gone through this.
No, I'm not. And like I said, I spoke to a lot of different pros, and they all told me personally, but once again, like I said, they can't speak up. Look, I spoke up, and look how Bob and them coming after me.
That's why a lot of people don't, right? Because they know, okay, you do this, but it's you're retiring, and you're just like, I'm just going to say it. I don't care anymore. I'm just going to say my shit, and you did, and it got some pushback.
Yeah, right. I just never saw it this extreme. I never saw a champion bodybuilder go from in 12 months go to, that's
what I said. I said I can't. I've never seen this before. He didn't get a look, right? And that's what you were saying. Like maybe you didn't mean to like really like call out Tyler Mannion. Like I don't think you have anything ill will against Tyler Mannion.
Oh no,
right? You were just saying I don't, because he's the head judge, so you're just referring to him. Like I don't think he looked at me. I don't think he wanted to look at me.
Right.
And
that's what that's what I felt. And I do look down at the judges, and that's what I was seeing. I mean, if I'm looking at judges and I don't see them looking up, or they look in another direction and having a conversation, there's certain reasons why I said something, but I got nothing against Tyler. I spoke to his fiance, me and Patti, on the elevator, nothing against him, but I just know he carries power. He is the vice president. That's what he said today too, that who's Tyler Manning? He has no power.
Yeah.
Bob, are you stupid? He's vice president. He has a lot of power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think Bob talks so fast, his brain isn't registering with his mouth, honestly, because even some of his fact checkings weren't right and weren't correct. But he was just going so fast to the point where he really didn't display perfect information in that video. And that's the whole part of me saying it wasn't professional. He really didn't take his time. He said, upset and anger, and I should have ate a burger before I made the video. Like, I just competed. No, it's been a couple of weeks since I made this video.
I thought he was talking about my podcast at first, because he said, about a week after he competed. I'm like, he's got to be talking about me.
Yeah.
And then they said Canadian podcast. I'm like, well,
Well, listen, it looks like they were talking with anger to me. Today, what I saw was not how I displayed myself speaking on these podcasts. So anybody bitter, I don't know why, either one of them are, but they were speaking very bitter and then being very disrespectful and then pounding me because of my age. And it's so sad, because me being 50, I look like I'm 40. So, you can't come at me because of my age and telling me I'm washed up. I'm far from washed up. You know what I mean? But like Bo said, say what they want. You know what I mean? Physically, it don't hurt me personally as a man. You know what I'm saying? Words, as we were kids, you could say all you want to me. What do they say? Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, listen, man, I think they made more of a fool of themselves than anything today. And I don't like when they come after my friends either, because, listen, Mike is a friend, you're my friend, and for them to even come at anybody because of I was on there, that's why I said, do your research. I was on Ron's thing first, and I spoke very clearly, the same exact thing on Ron's. I just don't want them coming after my people and making fun of them, how many views they have. Like, that's childish.
Yeah.
Very, very childish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
there's no need. Bob can say what he wants to say about my podcast. Yeah, I got, anyways, but we'll leave it there.
I think we got a point across.
Yeah,
I think they're going to see this tomorrow. But before we end, I want to say one thing. Bo, last week when we did Muscle Talk and we were talking about a Hunter, you nailed it. Because if you look at the progress pick, I was talking about it with Matt. If you look at the progress picks this week, it's night and day.
Listen, man, like I told you, like we know we got to look at it from a bodybuilder perspective. Don't judge the man because of, all right, I seen him better or I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Look at the lighting. Hunter is a very pale guy. When you look at the lighting, he ain't nobody. Big Ramy didn't look good the year he won Olympia in that lighting. Ain't nobody gonna look good. Phil, me, you. When you put somebody in that light, it ain't gonna happen. Give him a week, but we was looking at a 3 weeks out when we was on 2 weeks.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? So the main body don't change.
That's right.
I mean, the show that the pics he put up today, I was like, I couldn't even believe it was the same person, especially the back shots. I'm like, holy shit.
That's the best I done seen. He's still on his glutes, he's still holding that little thing.
That's what
it's water. It's fat.
But he's got when is the Italy Pro? This weekend, right?
Next weekend.
Next weekend.
Oh, next weekend. Oh, he's got
it's a Sunday. I think it's a Sunday show.
Yeah, his body is changing day to day.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's gonna be fantastic. All right. I think we're going to call it quits. Matt, thank you very much for coming on, brother. All respect and love in the world to you. Of course, Patti, you never even have to ask me. I will just send you the link from now on. You could just come on whenever you want. Phil, all the love in the world. Of course, Bo, Luke, Dorian, thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. And I don't know, maybe we'll get some fucking serious cylinder bodybuilding and voice of bodybuilding beef going on. We'll have to figure it out. I don't know.
Hey, that'll ramp up your channel, though. I tell you that.
You got to see how my subscribers jumped up after the Mark Lowblinder thing. Holy shit!
We saw.
yeah. Hey, people were hating me, but I guess they hit subscribe.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. I'll talk to you soon.
guys. All right,
brother. Okay, later, you guys. Peace out.
All right.